Good morning, Rabbi Beitzah. Today's shir is sponsored with Jeremy and Alison Cohen to mark the special occasion of the Batmitzvah of our dear daughter Sofia Ayelet, which falls out tonight, Erev Rosh Hashanah. Oh, I should have known from this. It's Erev Rosh Hashanah, Rabbi Beitzah. Erev Rosh Hashanah tonight. So, we have over here a picture of Yankee Berman. Here you go. He was the Messiah in the New York. Tell me I printed it. The New York Siyum. Now I'm thinking about the Miami Siyum, which I know that I was playing around with it. Did I not push the print button? Hold on. This can't be good. We're going to have to start over the whole share. Go, Baruch Hashem. This is the Miami Siyum, which somehow got lost in the whole, after the Siyum and preparing the next morning for the new Masechta, they got lost somewhere. But anyway, beautiful Siyum, beautiful place here. You can see over here, there's a little bit of the MDY logo. Great chevra. And you should know that if you are going to Miami for Sukkot, so it says like this, they're hosting a spectacular Simchas Beis She'eva on Chol Hamoed. Kol mi shera lo yira Simchas Beis She'eva b'Miami, lo yira Simcha miyamav. Miyamav is also Miami, by the way. It seems like. Okay, fine. Michael Ben-Chitrit, contact him. So Yankee Berman at the Siyum, the Bermans, Eli, brought in about 20 people. His whole mishpacha is doing it. Literally 20 people from his family and friends are doing the shir, and Yankee is named after Eli's father, so it's a beautiful Siyum in New York. This is from the one and only Joe Levy. Now, we have Uncle Joe, but this is a different one. He's from Boca. It says like this. Rabbi Stefansky, wow, I can't believe I'm starting Daf Yomi where I left off 12 years ago. Thank you, 3 times. There's no need to say it's the best Daf Yomi shir ever. That point has been set in stone by now. I did have sukkah, and here I am with Beitzah for a second time, enjoying it like delicious aged wine. So how are you supposed to study on Friday before Rosh Hashanah with all the running around, the work to finish? Easy, tell everyone to go home, turn off the phone, and irresponsibly leave all the mundane work for after Yontav. Yitzhahar got a kick out of this one. See attached, here he is, kicked everybody out, leave everything for after Yontav. Beautiful. See, it's getting the message. The island's getting the message. Shabbat Shalom Shana Tov from Avilia, Boca Raton, the best community to be in right now. Venezuela, Joey Levy. So I received a few of these. There's actually somebody put one on YouTube. The tzlach on using something once or multiple times. Cheers at a simcha is revolutionary, and poskim do, as I understand, use it lahalacha. So again, the question was: a woman put her candles on a chair in the hotel, so the chair became a basis l'dava aser. Came an employee, took the candles off, put the chair. Now it's mixed in with the other chairs. It's davar sheyesh matirim because the following day you're allowed to sit on it. Comes the tzlach, otherwise known as the Noid of Yehuda, and says that it's not davar sheyesh matirim. Why? Because today you'll never get back those hours that you could sit on the chair. So if you tell a guy you can't sit on it until Motzei Shabbos, he lost out all those hours. That's not davar sheyesh matirim. So a bunch of people asked this question, including Leiby. I was arguing with him in the Koil about this. He says, but I don't understand. If the chairs belong to the caterer or hotel or whatever, doesn't the rule ein adam oiser davar she'ein shaloy apply? Yes, it does. If you're in a hotel, you don't have the right to make a chair usher. That is very true. But it doesn't take away from the question. Because what if you did have permission? What if it was in your own home? The shaila is there. Yes, they say that as an answer. Great. But it's a beautiful question nevertheless. What if you're in your own sukkah and you lit the candles on a chair and then somebody mixed it around? So then the shaila does apply. Shabbos, Chasim Toiva, Gershon Dubin, Yishkoyer Gershon, and all those who wrote in about this. And finally, this is Avi Younger. I joined your Daf Yomi group last week, and from day one, I really enjoy it. My name is Avi Younger from Vienna, Austria. 24 years old. Thank you very much. And also a different email from Yaakov Nisanov, Yishkoyer Yaakov. All right, here we are. Daf Hey. So what did we decide about tomorrow? Tomorrow we're combining minyanim. So we have a minyan of shachris before shir. Shir's at 7:15. There's a minyan typically at 6:30, and we have a minyan after shir at 8 o'clock. So we're going to combine the two minyanim. We're going to do slichas before shir, 6:30 slichas until 7:15, about 45 minutes slichas. Come whenever you feel. You can come a couple of minutes early. Levi's looking at me. The Kaila guy's like, what? 45 minutes? And she was an hour and 45? Okay. Each to their own. And then at 8 o'clock, Shachris. When is the shul davening over there? When is Bnei Yeshivas? 7:15. Slichas 7:15. If you don't want to learn, you want to daven instead of learning, go next door and do slichas there. Levi here, you can just watch afterwards on YouTube. Or you don't have YouTube. Okay. So Rabbi Isai, here we are. Here are the three machloikesim that Rav argues on, and we paskin like Rav in all three. What happens if Shabbos is on Shabbos? Usually, typically, is on Shabbos, and the day afterwards is Yontif. And an egg was laid on Shabbos. Can you use the egg on Yontif? Says Rav, no. We said the reason is not because of Kedusha Achas. The reason is because of Hachana. Rav holds like Rabbah. Rav holds like Rabbah about Hachana. There is a problem of Hachana preparing from Shabbos to Yontif, and in fact, that's how we paskin. That's the only shita out of the four shitas that the Riv brings, Rabbah. Okay, so we paskin like Rav in that. Yesterday we also discussed what happens 2 days of Yontif in Chutz La'aretz. In that, Rav is Mekel. He says you're permitted to eat an egg that was laid on the first day of Yontif in Chutz La'aretz, like the first day of Sukkot, and then you do a second day of Sukkot because over there we do say it's two kedushas, and therefore it's a mutter. Now we're going to be discussing unbelievable, right? Rosh Hashanah. We're talking about Erev Rosh Hashanah here. Now I'm completely out of whack. Naftali, what are you sitting over there for? Now, I feel like I'm in a mirror or something. Okay. Actually, no, but when we started 3 years ago, you actually sat right over there. That was your spot. It's okay, we're going back to there. Rosh Hashanah. Is Rosh Hashanah different than a regular Yom Tov? Amazing that we're going to learn this idea because I think there's a lot of confusion. People know that it's slightly different. How did we know that it's slightly different than a regular Yom Tov? Because in Eretz Yisrael, we do 2 days Rosh Hashanah. Why? Why is Rosh Hashanah different than Sukkot and Pesach? In Eretz Yisrael, we do 1 day Sukkot, 1 day Pesach, but when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, we do 2. What's the pshat? Maybe we'll have a little bit of an understanding today after we finish the sugya. Okay, so 3 lines from the bottom of Amud Beis. Itmar. Shnei Yomim Tovim Shel Rosh Hashanah. The 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. I think it's incredible. Think about it. All the Ashgacha Pratis. There's no stam. When we were learning Masechtas Pesachim, we finished literally 3 days before Pesach. We just finished Masechtas Sukkah a couple weeks before Sukkot. Last year Rosh Hashanah, on the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, I believe it's both days, we were learning the sugya of Rosh Hashanah, a whole sugya about Rosh Hashanah. And this year, we've been discussing Rosh Hashanah day after day, and finally now we're talking about the actual Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah. Why do we do 2 days? A day before Rosh Hashanah. Itma. Shnei Yomim Tovim Shel Rosh Hashanah. Rav Shmuel Da'amr Tarvayu. Nol Bezeh. Asur Bezeh. If an egg was laid on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, also to eat on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. What would be the reason, Rabbi Isai? It's one kedusha. It's like one long day. Yom Arichta kedusha achas. Desnan. In the beginning, they would accept the witnesses the entire day, all the way to night. What happened? There's a tamid shel shachar, tamid shel ben arbaim. The tamid shel shachar you say is shir shel yom. Tamid shel ben arbaim you say shir shel yom. The tamid shel ben arbaim, if it's a weekday, you say a shir shel yom of the week, and if it's Rosh Hashanah, you say a special shir of Rosh Hashanah. I don't know what everybody does. I know the Vilna Gaon obviously has in every Yantiv his own shir, and there's just a lot of. I know that Nusach Sfar they like do the day. I don't know how it works exactly. How do you do Rosh Hashanah? Ashkenaz Ramah, but Sfard says like if Rosh Hashanah falls out on Tuesday, you say Shir Shel Yom Shlishi, which is very hard to understand. Okay, I don't understand exactly how that works. You'll have to explain to me later. But you see that saying the proper shir was so important that they changed things around because of this. Niskalkalu halavim bashir, they were mekalkal, they ruined it. They said the shir of a weekday instead of saying the shir of Rosh Hashanah. Hiskinu shalayu mikablim esa'idim elo adamincha. So therefore, they instituted, they made a rule that once mincha, what's mincha? Mincha means the carbon of Tamid Shel Bein Harabayim. Once that carbon Tamid Shel Bein Harabayim comes, you can no longer make that day Rosh Hashanah. Now, I just want to point out a few things. Rashi points out, what about the Shir Shel Yom in the morning? Isn't that going to be a kilkul? So let's say it's Tuesday morning, I say the Shir Shel Yom, Hayom Yom Shlishi, and then 3 hours later, the Eidim come and say, oh, by the way, today is Rosh Hashanah. Now, obviously, because you don't know if the Eidim are going to come, from Chav Tes at night, you have to start keeping Yantiv. You don't know if it's going to be Yantiv or not. So everybody starts keeping Yantiv. You do Kiddush, the whole thing. You don't do any Melacha. And you wait. And then, in the morning comes, the Eidim didn't show up yet. The Levim are going to say, Shir Shel Yom Shlishi. It's not Rosh Hashanah. You're not doing Melacha. All of a sudden, 12 in the afternoon, the Levim come, the Eidim come and they say, by the way, we saw the moon. It's Rosh Hashanah today. Isn't that a kilkul? Says Rashi, it's not a kilkul because no matter what, they always said the shir of a weekday in the morning, even if Eidim came before the shir. Why? Because most of the time Eidim came after the shir, so that was the thing. Okay, so there's no kilkul. We're going to say the shir. Oh, that explains the Sfard. No matter what, they said the shir of weekday. Yeah, I'm not kidding. On Rosh Hashanah, I asked about Rosh Hashanah. Now I have to explain. You, Nusach Sfard man, have to explain the other Yom Tov. I just explained why. It makes a lot of sense now, actually. More sense than Ashkenaz. Okay. At least for day one. Day two, I don't know how to explain. Now, Taisus asks a bomb question, which is in fact a Rambam. Taisus asks, if you bring the carbon tamid, then you can no longer bring any other carbon. So you know what else you're mekalkel? On the first day of Rosh Hashanah, you didn't know it's Rosh Hashanah, you went ahead and you brought a carbon tamid in the afternoon, and all of a sudden they didn't come and say, hey, it's Rosh Hashanah. So now you can't bring a carbon musaf. You can't bring a carbon musaf. Says Taisves, one of his tirutzim, maybe you could bring a carbon musaf. Maybe it's doicha that asay of bringing a carbon musaf will be doicha that asay of not bringing any carbon after a tabin. Why? Because it's a carbon of a tzibur. Fine. Now, as a side note, the Tur asks a question. He says, why is it that you say Pitim HaKtaris and Mincha every day? I don't know about us, maybe Nusach Sfar does, but you don't say Shir Shel Yom. Shouldn't you say Shir Shel Yom? Every single Mincha, you say Hayom Yom Shlishi B'Shabbos, because that's when you bring a carbon tamid. And a carbon tamid goes with the shir. And you see how important the shir is. If you mess up the shir, we're going to do a whole special thing here. Okay, I don't know what the answer is exactly. But that's his kasha. Bottom line is, we're in the middle of a sugya, middle of a line here. Here's the point that the Gemara wants to bring. Very important point. If the Eidim come after I already was makriv the carbon tamid, it's already too late. I made a takana. Chacham made a takana. I am not accepting testimony anymore about the moon. No matter what, you can come and tell me that you saw the moon. It's not Yantiv today. Yantiv is tomorrow. Nevertheless, says the Gemara, but I still have to accept upon myself Yisurim, and I have to treat it b'kedusha. So Rabbi say we have to understand this point. It's very, very important. It's almost counterintuitive. If Chachamim say that tonight we are going to treat this as a Yontif, even though we know for a fact it's not. How do I know for a fact it's not Yontif? Because I'm not accepting the testimony. Testimony is tomorrow. Whenever Chacham decided Rosh Chodesh, that's Rosh Chodesh. And they said, we're not going to accept any testimony after the Karban Tamid. So 100% tomorrow is Yontif and not today. Yet, I'm saying you have to keep Yontif now. You have to be Machmer. Is that one Kedusha or two Kedushas? Anybody? Again, Chachamim know for a fact that Yontif is right here in the red. This is where I'm going to do Yontif. But just to be Machmer, because the Edom came and said that they saw the moon, I want you to also do the blue. How do you consider that? One Kedusha or two Kedushas? That's the whole point of the Sugi. You have to understand this point. It's considered one Kedusha. Because when do I say it's two Kedushas? When I'm doing it besafek. I'm in Chutz La'aretz somewhere. I have no idea what happened in the Beis HaMikdash. Did they do Rosh Hashanah over here? Did they do Rosh Hashanah over here? I'm going to keep both. But one day is 1,000% Chol. The other day is 100% Kodesh. That's called two Kedushas. One of them is not a real Kedusha, so I'm going to treat it two separate Yom Tovim. But when Chacham come along, you hear this? Chacham comes out, I'm making both Yontif. Why? Because I feel like it. Then it's one Kedusha. They're not saying I'm making two days Yontif because I have a suffix. It's not a suffix. I know exactly where they are. I spoke to them. And we're going to make Yontif tomorrow. But I want you to add this part of the day to make it Kaddish because they were here. That's one Kedusha. Yeah, you hear why it's a little bit difficult to understand. It's considered one Kedusha, not two Kedushas. And that's basically a sugya here. So what do you see from here? That's why Rav says, let's go back. I have an egg that was laid on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Can I eat it on the second day of Rosh Hashanah? The answer is no, because it's one long Kedusha. How do I know it's one long Kedusha? Because Chachamim, even when they know that we're going to be Mekabel Yontif, so to speak, we're going to make the second day, not the first day, they still said, make the first day, keep the first day. Not Misafik, because I want you to keep 2 days. And that, by the way, is going to be the end of the Sugya. That's why in Eretz Yisrael we keep 2 days. Because we don't have a suffix in Eretz Yisrael, we keep 2 days because it's one long day and that's it. That's Takanas Chachamim, keep 2 days. Amar Rabba. Mitakanas Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai ve'elach Beitzah muteres. Comes Rabba and says a major chiddush, and everybody argues on him. This takana, the Chacham said, you keep 2 days, became batal. And since it became batal, so we don't have to do it anymore. We don't have to do it anymore. So now why are we keeping 2 days? For a different reason. Suffix, whatever it is, now it's already 2 kedushas. It's only one kedusha when it's one takanas chachamim. But once I get rid of the takanas chachamim, it's not 2 kedusha. It's not 1 kedusha, it's 2. This nan. Mishachar Beis HaMikdash. By the way, you remember who Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is? Hillel had how many Talmidim? 80 Talmidim. The greatest was Yonasan ben Uziel. A bird would fly over and would burn. The weakest Talmud, Yochanan ben Zakkai. Yochanan ben Zakkai ve'elach, but the weakest Talmud. You know, he makes takanas, he does everything. He's in the mission of the whole thing. Mishchar Beis HaMikdash. Hiskin Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Who's Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's Talmud? Levi? From Sukkah? Anybody? That we'll get to soon. Rabbi Eliezer. I'll explain to you later. That's it. So, what happened? What changed? The whole reason why they made a takana is because not to mess up the Shir Shel Yom. The Levim are going to say the Shir Shel Yom of the weekday. But it's not weekday, it's really Rosh Hashanah. Oh, terrible Zachin. But there's no Beis HaMikdash. Rahman al-Islam. It's gone. There's no Shir Shel Yom. No Shir Shel Yom. There's no reason to make a takana. Givaldik. So Rabbi say, what do you see from here? That if there's no reason to do a takana, it goes away. There's no reason to have a minhag, it goes away. L'chayra. So that's a very big issue. And one of the big things the Maharil, Rishon, brings, that there was a takana to say Yiru Einenu between Hashkiveinu and Shmoneh Esrei, a bunch of psukim, because in those days they davened out in the fields, and they were too scared to be in the fields, so they said like Shmoneh Esrei, it's like a kitzur of Shmoneh Esrei, 18 askaras, fine. But today we don't daven in a field, we daven in a shul, so the minhag should go bye-bye. No, the minhag stays forever, even if the tam is bottle, the minhag stays, and that's what we're discussing here in the sugya. Rabbi Zakkai says, Rabbah says it's bottle, and everybody argues that it's not bottle. So the Tur brings this, and he says, but there's some Gdolim that said not to say Yiru Einenu. I want to tell you some Chidushim in Yiru Einenu that I saw. Who are these Bismanenu? Here in Eretz Yisrael, we typically don't say Yiru Einenu. Why not? Because the Vilna Gaon came to Eretz Yisrael with his Talmidim, and the Balatanya. And most of the minhagim now in Eretz Yisrael are based on the Vilna Gaon, on the Gra. That's why we do the Birkas Kehanim and all that stuff. So, Talmidei Gra didn't do it. Says Rav Moshe Feinstein, unbelievable. He says, since they came to Eretz Yisrael and they instituted it, they started this minhag. It's a great thing that they started it. Let them continue with it. But he says, if somebody from Eretz Yisrael goes to America, to Chutz La'aretz, I keep on saying America because that's where I'm from, but England also, he should not say Yirei Einenu. That's not his minhag. His minhag is not. And a ben chutz la'aretz, don't think you get a freebie when you come to Eretz Yisrael. Says Rav Moshe Feinstein, when you come to Eretz Yisrael, you must say Yirei Einenu. That's your minhag. However, if you're a chazan, you have to be very careful that nobody should know in America that you're not saying Yirei Einenu, so you must say Yirei Einenu if you're a chazan. And he says, when you don't say Yirei Einenu in chutz la'aretz, in England and in South Africa, you don't say it, keep it to yourself. Pretend you're doing something else. I don't know. Move your lips. Don't let people know. That's what he says. Chidushim in Yiru Einenu. But Americans, I don't know if chutzniks say Yirei Einenu in Eretz Yisrael. They say, oh, nobody says it, I'm not saying it either. You have to sit there and say it. As he's like Rav Moshe Feinstein.
The other thing, Ben Eretz Yisrael that's in America should not say Amen after it either.
Ooh. Tremendous chiddush, yofi, I love that. Says Menachem Ateh, that a Ben Eretz Yisrael who's in America, chutz la'aretz, and the chazan says, whatever they say, I don't even know it. You should not say Amen, because it's a hefsek, right? That's what you're saying? You're not allowed to say Amen to it. Psh, unbelievable zach. It's a pellet that they say it. I mean, it's a takanas chazal, but it's a big, tremendous hefsek between the thing. Okay. Zogt the Gemara. It's a good one. I don't know if these chutzniks are going to listen, but I'm just quoting a chutznik, Rav Moshe Feinstein, the Paisik, the Galadar of America, of all of Klal Yisrael. He passed it, not me. Says the Gemara, he went back to the original. Okay? So Memela, what happens? So there's only one day, and we do 2 days misafek. Omelei Abai, Varav Shmuel, the Amri Tarvayu Beitzah Asura. I don't understand something. Abai tells Rabba, what are you talking about? Rav and Shmuel both say that you're not allowed to have an egg that was laid on the first day to the second day. It's one long day. You bring me a raya from Rav Shmuel against the Tana. Rav Shmuel Amaroy. Well, Rav Shmuel Kashim Asnisan. How are they going to explain? Says the Gemara, Halon v'halahu. They're talking about Bavel, and we're talking about Eretz Yisrael. For this, we must see Rashi inside. Rashi, the first wide line. Amazing Rashi, the way he explains the sugya. It's a beautiful idea. Halon v'halahu. Livnei Eretz Yisrael sh'oisim yoyim echad muteres. This egg is mutter to somebody in Eretz Yisrael on the second day. But us in Chutz La'aretz it's asur. Listen to this. We always did 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. Says Rashi, we're still in the original takana. Nothing ever changed. In Eretz Yisrael, there was takana. It went away. We broke the takana. Then it came back. But the takana was broken. But in Chutz La'aretz, the takana never went away. Not because we have a suffix. In Eretz Yisrael, the reason why we do 2 days, we have a suffix, so it's 2 kedushas. But in Chutz La'aretz, It's the same takana of Chazal that what? That the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah are one long Kedusha. It's a takana, not because I have a suffix. In Chutz La'aretz, it was never because of a suffix Rosh Hashanah. It was always because of the original. Ein Chanami, today it's because of the suffix or whatever. It's based on the first takana. Hilka Chayav v'lei Paskum Enslenu Mishitchalnu Ein Lahaka v'lei Me'emin Ogein Zev B'nei Takana Rishayna Ela B'nei HaSavik U'Beitzah Mutar So Lo Yarmina the Kivin Lei Paska Is the Takana. Basically, bottom line is Kivin Lei Paska Is the Takana. Since the original takana never went away, it was always 2 days and stayed 2 days. Even when we didn't have the reason, it stayed. Therefore, we are as the original takana told us to be, which is one long day. Rav Yosef argues on Rabbah. No, it's always aser. My time have a davar shebeminyan. I really believe the Gemara had a sense of humor, because when was the last time we ever saw the word davar shebeminyan? Yesterday. And before that, I don't know, a few years. So the Gemara says davar shebeminyan. Davar shebeminyan yesterday meant that we sell eggs as individual pieces. And all of a sudden here, the Gemara says davar shebeminyan doesn't mean that a completely different thing. It means that they took a vote. No shaykhs, davar shebeminyan. All the chachamim gathered and they took a vote. What should the halacha be? I'm serious. I see it all. You see it all the time. The Gemara sticks in words just to get you. It has no shaykhs to what is. They're playing with words and they want you to think. You have to be on your toes. It's davar shebeminyan. Well, it's a bunch of Tamid Chacham, like we said yesterday. Cabbage stalk is a davar shebeminyan. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about cabbage stalks. We're talking about Gedolei Adar, and they're called davar shebeminyan. If Chachamim came along and made a takana, they said, Rabbi Isai, there was a big, tremendous problem that happened this year. The Leviim messed up on the Shir Shel Yom, and because they messed up on the Shir Shel Yom, from now on, that's it. We cannot accept testimony anymore after the Karban Tamid. In order to undo that, all the Gdolim, whoever they are, I don't know how many, the Gdolei Adar of that next generation have to get into a room and do a count. Should we be mevatel that minute? Not. What's the problem? There's no Beis Hamikdash. There's no Shir Shel Yom. You're right. Great idea. Okay, let's be mevatel the minute. But you can't have Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai stand up all by himself and say, oh, the minute is batel. For that, you need all the Gdolei Adar to come around in a circle, take a count, take a vote, and go with that. How do I know you need a vote? 3 rayas he brings. In the Gemara, every time you bring more than one raya, we need to know why there's more than one raya. First raya is that by Har Sinai, because Baruch Hu himself commanded Klal Yisrael to separate from their wives 3 days. And then he says, so if you were listening to Hashem 3 days, meaning on the 4th day, you could go back home. So then why in the world did Hashem say, go back to your tents? There's no need for it. It expires after 3 days. The command is for 3 days, and there's an expiration date. So there was no need for Hashem to say, go back. That's raya number 1. So there's a pasuk that says that you're not allowed to be on the mountain. V'ish lo ya'ale imach. You're not allowed to go onto the mountain. That's what the Gemara brings. We're talking about ish, and says after. So the Gemara is going to explain. Ahu means that you're not allowed to go onto the mountain. So then why do I need? Ahu means when a Kosh Baruch, when the Shechina is there. Ahu, when the Shechina is there, Shechina is gone. You're allowed to go on the mountain. So then why do I need a pasuk to say that after there's a big tkiya, you're allowed to go onto the mountain? And finally, Netanya. It's not. It's Mishnah. Kerem Revai Hoya Oila Yerushalayim. So Kerem Revai means if you have fruit on the 4th year, Goyres, Kerem, Neta. Look at the last words in Rashi on the Amud. The point is, if you have fruit, you bring it up the 4th year. We treat it identical to Meiser Sheni. Almost identical. So Meiser Sheni, on years 1, 2, 4, 5, as you see over here, of the Shemitah cycle, you give 10% to yourself. But what if you're a millionaire, you have many, many fields, and your 10% equals 6 truckloads? How are you going to schlep that up to Yerushalayim? So you redeem it into money, you transfer into money, then the Kedusha goes from all the truckloads into the cash, and with that cash, you go to Yerushalayim. There's no way you have that much cash, you can't schlep it up to Yerushalayim. 1 suitcase is enough. You bring it to Yerushalayim, you buy whatever you want in terms of food, and the rest of the money you leave over there, let the Yerushalmis party for the rest of the year. If you have produce for the 4th year, you do the same exact thing. 10% goes to you. You're allowed to redeem it into cash. But there's one difference when it comes to Keren Rebai. If you live within 1 day's worth of Yerushalayim, we probably, here in Bet Shemesh, live 1 day's worth of Yerushalayim. Even in the time of the Gemara, you probably could get up there, it's only 20 miles away. So, we would have to schlep all our fruit, no matter how much it is, all the way to Yerushalayim, 10% of it. You can't redeem it into cash. Big problem to live in Bet Shemesh, if you want to do Keren Rebai. So, Keren Rebai, you have one day distance to each direction. V'zui tchuma, elas, not elat, elas, min hatzafon, v'akrabas min hadorim, lo min ha'mayrov, the airport, and the mayrov, v'yardei min ha'mizrach. No, I'm just... What is the reason behind it? Now, we need to know the reason, because if the reason goes away, then you don't have to be mekayim this l'chayra. The whole reason is the beautiful marketplace in Yerushalayim should be full of fruit, produce. So we force you to bring your produce, and now all the marketplaces are going to be full of produce. Rebbe Eliezer was the Talmud of Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai. That what? Just like Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, he never spoke mundane words in his life. He was always the first one in Beis Medrash, and always the last one in the Beis Medrash, and many other things that the Gemara brings down over there in Sukkah Daf, Koyach. I don't know if I said it there. I do remember saying, I don't want to bring the name into Beis Medrash, but it's Kedai to learn something from him. Kobe Bryant. If you look up the inspirational videos of Kobe, you learn a tremendous insight for Yiddishkeit. The reason, not only was he a super athlete, but he put in the most hours of anybody in the NBA. And it's a yesod in life. He was always the first one in the gym, 4 o'clock in the morning. And we should always be the first one in the Beis Medrash, 4 o'clock in the morning. Rebbe Eliezer. It's not that, and they say the same thing about Jordan. Shouldn't even mention the name, but it's Emes. Those two put in the most work. Yes, they were naturally gifted, but they put in the most work. And if anybody wants to be good at anything, they have to put in those extra hours. The 10,000 hour rule, etc., etc., etc. Fine. V'tanya. Now it happens to be the Rebbe Eliezer, who was the first one to be Medrash, last one out of Beis Medrash. And I'm saying this b'dafka, and has to do with Rebbe Zakkai, who was his Rebbe. He didn't have time for all this fruit stuff. I think he had time, but he had fields. They used to work in those days. They had produce, but he didn't have time to start schlepping to Yerushalayim. He said, it's too much for me. I want to give it away to the aniyim, let them deal with it, and they don't even have to bring it up. Now, we just turned to Daf Yomi Beis, sponsored by the MDY Tehillim group. For all those who need Refuas and Shidduchim, please join Tehillim.com. And by Shlomo Lalezarian from Los Angeles, in honor of my wife, who is Moser Nefesh for Torah Yishkoyach. Oh, which reminds me, Erev Shabbos, I got this beautiful tray of chocolate and a bottle of wine from Yossi Klein. So I called him up to thank him. I said, Yishkoyach. He says, you got the gift? I said, yeah, it's Gishmak chocolate. No, you got the gift? What are you talking about? Now, in Eretz Yisrael, go to any of these stores, or even if you go to like a Vart here in Israel, what they do is they buy like one knife, like this big, and they buy a giant box. It's just an empty box, and they put the knife on top, and they put a big bow, and they bring it. And they have all these empty boxes with nothing in it, just on the top. So it came with boxes. It was like a tier with chocolate on the top and the wine. So I said, okay. So we took the boxes and we chucked them out, and we took the try. He says, no, go back to the garbage, and there's stuff in there. So we went, and there's a beautiful challah tray, and it wasn't just boxes with chocolate. The chocolate was on top. Why they did it like that, I have no clue. It's very deceiving. Okay, so Yishkoyach, Yossi Klein. It's beautiful. Hint, Nachal Noam, whatever. Okay, fine. R Eli Talmid of Rebbe. Kfar nimnu alecha chavirecha v'tiruhu. What happened? He lived after the Beis Hamikdash. There's already Churban. There's no marketplaces in Yerushalayim. The whole reason to bring up the fruit is to beautify the marketplace. No marketplaces. No marketplaces. You don't have to bring up the fruit. You can bring up cash. Keren Revai still exists. You still have to bring it up to Yerushalayim, but not all the fruit. Within a day's worth, you don't have to bring up. Man chavirecha, who are your friends? Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Very interesting. It doesn't mean your friend, because he wasn't a friend of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. He was actually a Talmud, as we just discussed. It means the people like you, the G'daylim like you, they already said that it's mutter. Taima, but look at what it says. Look at the second line here. Kfar nimnu alecha. What does nimnu mean? Nimnu means that everybody gathered, the G'daylim gathered, and made a vote, took a vote, and they decided that it doesn't exist anymore, this halacha, that you have to bring up actual fruit. You can bring cash, but you need to take a vote. So here's the third source that you must take a vote. Like Rav Yosef, you can't just be Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and say, oh, this whatever it is in Beis Hamikdash doesn't exist, and I'm making a new takana. No, you need to take a vote. Time at the nimnu, halei nimnu lai. Now the Gemara just goes into all three reasons. Why do I need three rayas, Rav Yosef? Bring one raya, the best one, let's say from Har Sinai. Hashem said, stay away from your wife 3 days, and that's it. Why did Hashem have to say go back to the tent? Says the Gemara, why do I need it? When Hashem, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the way Rashi describes Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Gvura, says a statement, you can't undo it. There's no expiration to it. He needs to undo it himself. Beautiful. Maybe Hashem wasn't giving you permission to go back. Maybe you have to go back. Well, what if a guy says, listen, I'm here at Har Sinai. The inspiration is unbelievable. I just saw Matan Torah. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here for another week. So Hakadosh Baruch says, you must go back to your wife. I'm chayiv you and Oina. Not that you have a heter, but you have a chiyuv. Okay, if you don't like that pshat, I have a second pshat. That we made a big giant kia to tell people they could go up the mountain, even though it says in the pasuk, hahu, that the mountain is only kadosh, and it was kadosh for a very long time. But it was kadosh only when there's shechina there, and once the shechina leaves, then you can go up the mountain. You don't need a shofar. Says the Gemara, michlik siv gamatzoin v'abokar yira mul hahar hahu. It says already when the shechina is there. Why do I need another pasuk? Oh, that's only the Raisa, but how do you know the Rabbanon? Tashma Keren Revai. Keren Revai. Keren Revai the Rabbanon. Is Keren Revai the Rabbanon, Rabbi Isai, or the Raisa? Well, the part to take the fruit up to Yerushalayim, that's the Rabbanon. Even to get rid of a minhag, the Rabbanon, you need to take a vote. Maybe there was a vote when it came to an egg, and they said, oh, since things changed with the way the Beis Hamikdash is run, there's no shir shel yaim, so therefore the 2 days Rosh Hashanah are considered 2 gedushas. So if an egg was laid on day 1, you could use it on day 2. But at the end of the day, there was no count at all when it came to an egg. They only took account at most about the testimony. Do we take testimony? Do we take edus after the carbon tumor was shechted or not? But there's no discussion about an egg. Now, Abaya asks a bomb kasha. Everything that we just learned is predicated on the fact that this egg, big word for Panovich guy, he's giving me this look. I have no idea what it is. Okay, let's go right there. Yeah, where were we? Predicated. I said don't worry, we can go right there. Otu Beitzah b'minyan mihave. Beitzah be'edos talyan milsa. Whoever spoke about an egg, we're taught. If there was a gzeira on an egg, you can't use the egg. And then for that you need another bezdin to come around and say you could use eggs. Nobody spoke about an egg. It was just, is this day a yantif or not a yantif? If this day is a yom harichta, then an egg becomes aser. It's just a byproduct. Is that also a big word? Sorry. Not really. No, that's this one. You know, I know, like if Mendy tells you it's a big word, it's a big word. Fine. Just the other day, I was looking for an explanation of a word, and I went into the art scroll, and I needed an art scroll for the art scroll. It's Pray San Khan. I'm a 3-word, like, I've never in my life heard this expression. He like throws in, like, what good is the art scroll if people that speak English, somewhat, they can't even understand? You need like the only guys that went to college that could read this book. Okay, fine. Do you know what I'm talking about? San Kran Khan. I don't know. Sarcasm. Some weird word. Okay, 3 words. Not sarcasm. No. No, but I love the art scroll. It's unbelievable. I'm not knocking art scroll, but sometimes they throw in that they want to be like, chashav is safer, but you got to talk to the to simple Panovich guys. Beitzah be'edus talya milsa. It's our edus, it's our beitzah. If they say that there's a problem with the testimony and it becomes 2 kedushas, then an egg becomes aser. If they say it's okay, then ishtri edus, ishtri beitzah. It's an unbelievable kasha. I don't see an answer for this. Okay. So we said before that according to Rabba, once Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai took off the takana, in other words, they weren't accepting Edom, and then Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai says, you could accept Edom. So what happens is, it becomes 2 kedushas, and an egg that is laid on first day of Rosh Hashanah is mutter on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Says the Gemara of Adar Rab Shalman Tarvayu Mebei Kloiches Armi. Both of them came from Kloiches. Af mit takanas Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai ve'elach Beitzah asura. Not true. The egg is aser. My timer. Meheira yibana Beis Hamikdash be'ezer Hashem Yisbarach. There's going to be a Beis Hamikdash very, very soon. And there's going to be a takana not to accept Eidim after. It's interesting, not in nowadays because we have the cell phones, but maybe, yeah. But if the Beis Hamikdash comes, then we have to make sure that we don't accept any Eidus after the carbon shel Tamid. Ben Arbaim. Why? Because they might mess up the Shir Shel Yom. It's unbelievable. I mean, somebody has to explain to me, why is this such a big deal, the Shir Shel Yom? How many times did we run out of shul without saying Shir Shel Yom? No, it's so important that we're not accepting it. We have to do 2 days Yanta because of Shir Shel Yom. Okay. Yeah. And that's why I don't know about Peh, because I ran out of shul many times. I have no idea. Yeah. Now, if you say, you make a new takana, so everybody's going to remember what happened last year, and they say, look, we had eggs that were laid on day 1, we ate them on day 2. And today, this year also, and nobody's going to remember, the shtakash tekdusha same, v'hashta dushachas. They're not going to remember that a real big difference happened. Last year it was 2 kedushas, and that's why you could eat an egg that was laid on one day to the other day. But today, v'hashta, because things went back to the original takana creates one long kedusha. As the Gemara, in our days, we should not accept any testimony after mincha. You hear? People are going to forget. Next year, they'll accept the edus after mincha. Let's make a gzeira, no edus anymore after mincha. My time, why should we do such a thing? Meheri Yibana Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash is going to be rebuilt. You don't remember? We accepted edus even after mincha until shkia. Hashanah mikabel. Says the Gemara, who accept the edus? Only the biggest Talmid Chachamim. They know the difference between last year and this year. We're talking about the Hamoinam. Beitzah lakol mesura. And Rashi says, a very interesting, look at Rashi, 3 lines from the bottom. Lakol mesura liyad akol iba, bein akol bam lishol, v'soimchim al minhagan. It's a bad thing, says Rashi, to be soimich on your minhag without knowing what you're doing. I have a minhag. My tata macht zoi, and I don't know. I don't want to hear anything. And these litvaks, the Shulchan Aruch, whatever. I have a minhag, that's it. No, you can't be soimich on a minhag all the time. It's a problem. Rav Omar, okay, erase that part. Whoever got this far in the shir, he's already good. Rav Omar, another pshat. No, even after Takonas Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai says Rava, and this is very, very, very important. This line right over here. Based on this line, that's why today, Rosh Hashanah, according to most Rishonim, in Eretz Yisrael, is 2 days. There are some Rishonim that say, but most Rishonim argue with them, that Rosh Hashanah should only be 1 day really in Eretz Yisrael. Fine. But based on this line, that what? No matter what, we do 2 days, end of the story. Omarava, Hilchasa, Kivasei, the Rav. Where's that one? It's always in the wrong place. Here we go. The halacha is like a Rav in all 3 of these. Bein Lekula, which is the middle one that he says, that when there's 2 days Yontiv in Chutz La'aretz, and egg was laid on day 1, you're permitted to eat it on day 2. And Bein Lechumra, where he says over here in Rosh Hashanah it's Aser, it's 1 Kedusha, and over here Shabbos and then afterwards Yontiv is Aser. The halacha is like Rav. Have a wonderful day.